Check 1 2.
No, oh God, you're still there? Okay. All right. I think we're good. All right. Audio mixer. We are good to go. All right. And we'll straighten out the windows in a minute. Video capture. All right. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well today. We are going to be going through Mark chapter 1 and verse 3. I'm sorry for the delay. I had to deal with some computer problems. My personal MacBook did the the required updates for the operating system last night, and anyways, it wouldn't start up this morning. IT couldn't help me, and so I had to get into my daughter's computer and download a whole bunch of things. So I apologize for starting so late. If you would you let me know if you're able to hear okay and see everything okay? Just want to make sure that this is, that everything's functioning properly, especially since I'm using, different computer and all that. So let's see. I'm just going to add the chat here. Just get this up there. Whoop, that's not what we wanted. We want a window capture, and we got the pop out, so everybody should be able to see the chat now on the screen. And let's see, video capture. We'll put my mug up here somewhere. I don't think it's, this isn't, the video capture's not working right now. Sorry about that. Okay, we'll try that again. Yeah, for some reason the video capture's not working. I apologize. So, anyways, we're going to be looking at Mark chapter 1 and verse 3 here. And I'm just going to try one more time, see if I can get my camera going. Let's see, video capture device. Hopefully this does the trick. And FaceTime HD camera. And there we go. All right. Put myself up in the corner there because you really don't need to see me. I'm not that important. The text is what's important. And so we'll put that up there. And all right, and then we'll get the screen going here, and you should be able to see everything. So, anyways, let me know how you're doing. I'd love to hear how everybody's doing today. I'm going to switch over to. I don't have my usual version of PowerPoint, and so I'm going to try doing the download through still black screen. Can't see anything. All is black. Oh, gee whiz. Okay, so let's transition. Boom, there we go. All right, I apologize for that. Yeah, when you switch computers like this, all the settings are different, so on and so forth. And yeah, very frustrating for me. But here we go. You guys are so patient. I appreciate it. So today we're going to be looking at Mark chapter 1 and verse 3. And I'm going to put this in, presenter mode here, and be doing this through Canva. So let me just change this out. We're going to change out the screen capture, and here we go. Let's see, window capture, good. And we'll see if we can get Chrome, pop out, window. All right, we got that. Yeah, man, I'm so sorry about this. This is really frustrating. Well, I may have to put it back into PowerPoint here. So, yeah, for some reason the screen's not showing. All right, so let's do this. Got to try one more thing. Man, this is so frustrating. Voice is super low. Okay, thanks so much. How's that? Is that better? Check 1 2. Should be sounding okay, hopefully. All right. Well, we're going to have to do it in PowerPoint here, and we'll do that. All right. And, hopefully you get to see it. So, unfortunately, PowerPoint's not logged in. I don't have my subscription here on this computer. And so, so we're going to do, just have to do it this way. And I'll try to zoom in as best I can here so you guys get to see everything. Got everything all set up. There we go. And, well, all right. So that should do. Let's lock it and roll. All right. So there we go. All right. So Mark chapter 3 in Hebrew, Arabic, and Greek. And we'll start, just reading the Greek. And as I've mentioned to a number of you before, in previous live streams, is that I prefer to use the modern Greek pronunciation because it's much closer to how Greek would have been pronounced in the days of, in the days of the writing of the New Testament throughout the Greek world. One of the things we will never know is to what the exact pronunciation that any individual would have been using. That's the pronunciation would have been different among groups. You have to remember that English in the same way that English is spoken really throughout the world, but even here where I live in New Milford, Connecticut, if you go to at the school I teach at, we have a number of people from Latin America, even one from Spain, and some people from the Philippines. We all speak English together, but many people have accents that would reflect in the would reflect the accent of their native language, the part of the country where they're from. And that would have been the case with the writers of the New Testament. I mean, they're not Greeks. Yes, did they know Greek? Could they write in Greek? Could they speak Greek? Yeah, of course. But would they have spoken it like someone from Athens? Absolutely not. And so, that's just the reality. And so complete accuracy with pronunciation is something that nobody will ever get at. But here we go. So the Greek starts with phoni bontos. Okay, phoni. If you're using Eraspian pronunciation, it would say phone, phone. Let's see. Interested in the Aramaic there? I see that. Thank you so much. Yeah, and we'll certainly be looking at Aramaic as well. But the modern that's funny, Jank. Yeah, Erastian accent, Midwestern accent. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Absolutely. But yeah, we will deal with Aramaic in other videos. I have a lot of videos on Aramaic, but this is just what we're doing in this video. So it's, this is for some people and not for others, and that's okay. So phoni bontos, and we get a nominative, let's see, go to the next. There we go. Yeah, nominative feminine singular noun, phoni, and that ita at the end, eta if you're using Erastian pronunciation. So phoni is a nominative feminine singular. The nominative case, of course, is what you would use as the subject of a sentence, but if you have standalone phrases as well, it would be natural to put them in the nominative. So a voice, okay, there's no indefinite article in Greek. A voice, bontos, okay? And so bontos is a genitive masculine singular participle, genitive masculine singular present participle of boao, okay? Boao. And just make sure this is coming up okay. Looks like you're able to see everything on the screen, I guess. All right, good. Happy to see that. And so genitive, the standard way of translating the genitive is with the word of, the key word of. So a voice of one crying out. So boao means to cry out. Boontos is the genitive participle. So a voice of one crying out. Now, you'll notice that the translation I put here, and I can't remember if this is the ESV or if I just translated this myself, truthfully. It's probably just the ESV that I copied for convenience sake. But either way, I would argue that using the word the in the translation is justified. And so one of the viewers mentioned that they were interested in Aramaic. And so here's something for you here. If we are assuming that this, that texts in the New Testament, the text of the New Testament is generally written in Greek, but would have been spoken or uttered in Hebrew and or Aramaic, then we need to pay attention to what is clear here, is that this comes from the biblical Hebrew text where there is a construct phrase. And I want to just bring up the Hebrew here for you really quickly, and we'll put some Aramaic in there for you if you'd like. Okay, so let me, I'm going to do a screen share here for a second. I got to switch screens, so be patient with me, please. And we're going to do another media source here. Let's see, screen capture. There we go. Okay, and we got a, sorry. Yeah, save them all. Okay, great. All right, and then accordance. Okay, so we've got accordance, Hebrew Bible. Here we go. And let me, I don't know if you can see all this. I gotta shrink this a little bit here so you can get all the windows. Get my mug out of the way. No loss there. All right. Okay, so hopefully you can see that okay. Oh wait, I gotta hit transition. I always forget to hit transition. Okay. So we are going to, and then I got to get the other window open, of course. So, bear with me 1 second. It has my other Whoosy-majigga, my other tab open there. This is such a pain in the neck going back and forth with these. So, geez, I got to shift windows. Sorry, guys. Open, let's see, workspace, Hebrew reading. All right, file, open. Okay, Hebrew Bible, here we go. Okay, so let me just do this one more time. You should be able to, we got that in Genesis 1. Let's just delete this out 1 second. Save, yes, thank you. And then, bear with me here, screen capture. And all right, we should be, I hope we're in business here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's go over to Isaiah. Okay. Oh, and we got to go to verses. And let's go to chapter 40. Okay. And so one of the things that you will see as we go into Isaiah here, and I have the Targum up because this will allow you to see the Aramaic alongside the Hebrew. And I'm going to bring these English translations. I'm just going to shrink them a little bit there for you, and we'll do that. We'll go into Deutero-Isaiah here, right? And so if we go to Isaiah chapter 40 in verse 3, here is the Hebrew. I want to make sure this is nice and, yeah, can you see that okay? Just let me know in the chat section if you can see that okay. All right. And so here we've got Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 3 in the middle column. All right. And you've got kol koreh. Kol koreh. Kol means voice, and koreh means one who cries. This is a masculine singular participle. So the voice of one crying is a legitimate Hebrew translation here. Okay. It can be a voice of one crying, but the natural translation in biblical Hebrew would be the voice of one crying. Okay. The voice of a crier, if you want to be hyper literal, which I don't, but the voice of one crying in the wilderness, Bamidbar. Kol koreh Bamidbar. Okay. Notice what the Aramaic has in the Targum here. This is the translation of my colleague Eldon Clem. And you can, for those who might not know Aramaic, I have the Targum translation down here. A voice of one who cries out in the wilderness. So, kol demachle b'midbar. And here the Aramaic, this is interesting because Aramaic can use the construct phrase that we see in Hebrew as well. Let me highlight it. Whoops, I forgot the aleph. Don't want to leave our friend the aleph out. Okay. In Aramaic, sometimes you get this circumlocution. It's a more roundabout way of saying it. And so here we get the indefinite word kol which means a voice. Dimachle, of one who is crying out. Okay, one who is crying out. And we have, the afel, or what I like to call the C-stem participle. But whether it's translated the voice of one or a voice of one crying out, the Hebrew more naturally would be the voice of one crying out. That would be the more natural way to say it. And frankly, it makes a whole lot more sense because an individual does not have multiple voices generally. Okay? So, anyways, going back to the text here. Let me bring up my presentation in PowerPoint. There we go. Okay, so phonibontos en ti erimo, which is, we'll go on to this, whoops, sorry, I gotta go to the next slide, my bad. Okay, down, 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 and there we go. Okay, so en ti erimo. So en is the preposition, meaning it typically means in. Like any preposition, it has a wide range of meanings. Okay, and en, the preposition en, is almost always followed by the dative. It takes its object, we would say, in the dative, and so we get ti erimo. Okay, now this is a little bit confusing, because the article T is definitely dative, feminine, and singular. Okay, dative, feminine, and singular. And just, so I get a sense of, everybody out there in TV land and, what they know and don't know, just where your Greek is at. How do we know that T is dative, feminine, and singular? Go ahead and throw that in the chat. I'd love to just see who knows what. And if you don't know anything, don't be embarrassed, right? Because we're all here to learn, right? Nobody has a monopoly on knowledge. Nobody knows everything. And we're just a community of friends learning together, right? So en ti erimo. How do we know that en is the, dative, feminine, singular? Okay. See if anybody has an answer for us. I'll give you a minute. I'm just looking over at the chat. I know there's a 10-second delay with everything I say, so. Any thoughts? Okay. I know hippo means horse. Oh, that's the extent of my Greek. All right, fair enough, Jank, fair enough. Okay, so let's take a minute then, since those tuning in, we've got some who might not know this stuff, and perfectly okay, and that's what we're here for. So I'm going to open up a Google Doc real quick. Okay, and just give me a second, and I'll share this with you. So I'm just going to title this Notes, and if you'd like, I'll share this with you afterwards. You just have to remind me. If you need my email address, I'll happily put it in the chat, but again, I will forget, so just please remind me. Okay, so I am going to, let's see here, we're going to open a screen here, do another screen share. Actually, I could do, I can do this. Okay, eventually I will get good at this and it'll be a lot more efficient. Google Notes, Doc, boom, look at me go. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's go over to the Google Doc. I'm gonna get my Greek keyboard open. There we are, and sorry, I forgot my glasses. I was running so behind, I forgot to bring my glasses with me today, so that's why I'm straining a good bit. Okay, so the article, the definite article, I should put a title on this. Okay. The definite article in Koine Greek. I know, get harassed me and they say Koine, but Koine would be more accurate. Koine Greek. Okay, and let's blow it up a little. Okay. All right, now, in Greek you have three genders. So you're going to have the masculine, let's go over here, the feminine, and the neuter. I always hate typing live because I'm a bad speller, right? Boop. There we go. And okay. So in the nominative, Okay, and I gotta get my Greek keyboard out here because we need the diacritics, and I never type with the diacritics here. So let's view keyboard, there we go. Aha! All right. So in the masculine, the nominative will be, why are we not typing? Here we go. Okay, will be O. It's going to have a rough breathing mark on it when you see it, but since we don't pronounce the rough breathing mark in Koine Greek, I'm just not going to write it in because it's just a waste of time finding all these diacritics here. Okay, and so then in the genitive, we're going to get tu. Okay, so if we want to say of the something, so O would be the masculine, sorry, all the going back and forth between all these languages, my brain gets stuck sometimes. This would be the nominative masculine singular. So for the subject of a sentence, tu would be the genitive. So if you want to say of the whatever, if you need to supply the keyword of, okay, and then we get, where's my omega down there, right? Whoops. Okay. And then we would get to. There would be iota subscript underneath it, but I can't see because I don't have my glasses where the subscript is on this keyboard. But it's a little iota that would go underneath the omega there. Yeah, sorry that... I can't see today. And then finally, we would get ton, which would be for the direct object. We would call that the accusative case. So O would be the subject of the sentence, the whatever, like if you were saying, I don't know, the boy hit the ball. The for the boy, because it's the subject of the sentence, it would be O. If you wanted to say the boy hit the ball, that's your direct object, so we would use ton as the article there. If we wanted to say, the bat of the boy hit the ball, of the boy would use tu, that's genitive. And if we wanted to say the bat of the ball hit the boy to me, that would be dative, okay, to me, kind of like an indirect object, okay? So that's the idea. In the feminine, okay, what we're going to get is e as the nominative, okay? E would be the nominative, and then tis would be tis, and I got to find the final sigma here, of course. Blind as a bat today. Okay, tis, that would be of the, if the noun's going to be feminine. And this is what we're really concerned with here, is the dative. It would be t with iota subscript. There would be an iota subscript underneath the eta there. And that's how we know we've got a dative feminine singular. Okay, dative feminine singular. And so I'm going to go back. I'm going to hide that. And so when we look at the text here, enti erimo, you can see underneath the eta, there's an iota subscript. That is the feminine singular dative feminine singular, we would say. So, and that's the appropriate case for the object of the preposition en. Now, if for those of you who know Arabic and Hebrew, for Hebrew students, you're going to say, whoa, we don't have anything like this in Hebrew, right? And the answer is yes and no. In Hebrew, yes, biblical Hebrew as we have it, and certainly modern Hebrew, has essentially lost what we call these case systems. Okay, in pre-Hebrew or very early Hebrew, they may have been there actually. And we know that in part, because of Arabic. Because Arabic, even though it has a simpler case system, Arabic, especially modern standard Arabic and Quranic Arabic, they have a case system. There is no dative, but they do have a nominative, a genitive, and an accusative. And so this is probably an easier concept for people who know, especially people who know formal Arabic or standard Arabic, to understand. All right, let me pause. I want to see if we've got any questions out there. Pardon me. Okay, and let me go over to the chat. Okay, God bless everyone. All right, glad you're with us today. I think this is way too advanced for my level of Greek because I can't even read it. Okay, I'm going to be doing some, elementary lessons in Greek where I'll be teaching the alphabet. I'd started a series a while back. You'll find it on my YouTube channel. Check there, but I don't think I ever got to finish that. So I'll probably just start a new Greek series soon, and we'll chip away at the alphabet and then go on from there. I have a fantastic new Greek grammar that I've been meaning to check out, because I learned Greek 1997, almost 30 years ago. And I used Mounts and Wallace, and, they were kind of like the go-to books in those days. But there's this new fantastic book, which I'd like to use for an online course. And so stay tuned for that. All right, so here we go. Let's go over here. Let's see, where are we? Okay, too many windows open, pardon me. All right, so, but anyways, we have, the preposition en plus t plus erimo. Now, erimo, you would say, well, wait a second, if the noun is supposed to agree with the article, why doesn't it? Well, all right, what's the simple explanation? So you can see that I wrote here that it's an adjective. It's the term wilderness is functioning as a noun. In fact, in noun, the term wilderness is a noun. We're going to see that in the Arabic and the Hebrew, it's a noun, okay? But in Greek, they use an adjective, okay? And the adjective here, is functioning substantively, we would say. And the noun isn't, or the definite article isn't exactly agreeing with the adjective here in this case. I'll give a more detailed explanation in the comments later once the video is processed for those who are really more advanced, but I just think this might be a bit too much. So anyways, phonibontos enti erimo, a voice crying in the wilderness. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, here we go. And then we get etimasate. Eti, and the OI makes an E. If you use Erasmian pronunciation, you've learned it as oi, so hetoi masate. But eti masate is the way we're going to say it in modern pronunciation. And that is a second person plural aorist active imperative. It's a command form of the verb etimazo, okay? All right, so prepare, okay, and then we get an accusative feminine singular article, teen. Remember we looked at the article before. Here's the, here's the accusative feminine singular, teen. And then we get of the Lord, kuriou. That u ending means of the Lord. Now there's no word for Lord, or for the before Lord there, but the Greek term kyrios is the Greek term that is generally used for the tetragrammaton in Hebrew, God's name Yahweh. Okay, and so, yep. Let's see. Do we have a? Let's see. I saw something in the chat here. Just want to make sure that everybody can see everything. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I thought someone added a comment there. Okay. So, anyways, so that is. Let's see here. Hold on, I want to make sure we got it. I just gotta pause for a second. Are you guys able to see the Greek? It's showing on my streaming service here that it's showing up. But when I'm looking at the YouTube channel here, oh, I see. Okay, hopefully we're. Yeah, there we go. All right. So it just was, showing me something from before. All right. So, but what was I saying? So let's go back to the slides here. So the word kyrios, which here appears in the form kyriou, is a Greek word meaning Lord, but in the Septuagint's translation of the Hebrew Bible, This word will be used as a regular substitute for Yud He Vav He, the word that would have probably been pronounced Yahweh in Hebrew. And so we're going to say the Lord, the way of the Lord. Okay. And even though Odon looks masculine, it is a grammatically feminine noun. Okay. All right. And you can see that. There's the lexical form for those who are, into that sort of thing. You're at that level. Okay. There's the analysis for Kyriou. Okay. And then now we come to, Ethias, okay, which is going to be a feminine plural adjective, feminine plural accusative adjective from, ethis, which is going to be straight. It's going to mean straight. So what's straight? Well, if we go to the next word, we get piite, which is an imperative meaning make, and I put the wrong lexical form there. This is from pieo, but it's a command, make. So literally straight make, but it should be translated into English as make straight. Okay, and then we go to tas tribus aftu, okay, which means the paths of him. So we would translate in English more naturally as his paths, the paths of him. Okay. And there you have it. So you have the genitive masculine singular of aftos, which means his. Okay. All right. So phonibontos enti erimo, the voice of one crying in the wilderness. Prepare. Oh, right. Etimasate tin odon Kyriou, the way of the Lord. Ephias poite, piite, I mean to say, tas tribus aftu, make straight his paths. Okay. All right. So we go over to the Hebrew now. And so the first word now we're reading the modern Hebrew translation, which is going to quote, when you have a quotation from the Hebrew Bible, it is not going to put it into modern Hebrew. Okay. It's going to quote from biblical Hebrew. That's going to be the norm. But we'll compare this because sometimes what they'll do is translate the Greek into modern Hebrew because there are differences. So we'll look at this here and see what they do. Okay, with this particular translation. So we get the first word is kol. This is a masculine singular construct noun. Now, for those of you, and again, I don't know. How advanced your Hebrew is, if you could leave me a comment and just give me a sense of, kind of where you stand with Hebrew. And Greek's visibility is fine, but, I'm really echoey. Oh, gee whiz. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see what, yep. I think I see why. Okay, that should be better. Jen, can you leave me a comment down below there? Is that better? Really curious. Do you have a video with Greek alphabet as well? Yes, I'm going to make one. I have. Oh, thank you. All right. Yeah. Every time you open a new window in OBS, which is what I'm using right now, it turns a microphone on the computer. And so anytime I open a new screen, you have to remember, okay, it's opening a new microphone. You got to shut that one off. So really sorry about that. Is there anything I need to repeat? That the echo was creating problems with. Just let me know in the comments there. And and let me know if you guys, how your Hebrew is as well. If there's anything that, I might be saying that might be over your head or whatever, I'm happy to slow it down. No, I could understand you the whole time. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, so, all right, so let's start. So first of all, those who are watching, do you understand what a construct noun is? When I say a construct noun, if you could just give me a thumbs up or something like that in the chat, that would be awesome. Okay. And put the chat there. Let's see what we got. Any feedback there? I know some people are probably doing other things while they're listening, so, and that's okay. All right. Let's see. Go to the chat box here. There we are. Okay, so yes, a simple construct like A of B. Exactly. So when we say a something of something else, the something of something else, like the king of the land, the teacher of the class, the winner of the Super Bowl, which would be the Patriots, of course, right? So, yeah, that would be an example of a construct. Okay. Great. Okay. We got a full beginner here. Excellent. This is great that I know this because I can produce videos tailored to you as well. But thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll try to explain everything as clearly as I possibly can. So please feel free to ask any questions. All right. Never be embarrassed to ask a question. We're here to learn together. All right. So let's look at this then. Let me go back to the PowerPoint here. So kol koe bamidbar, that's the first phrase. So kol is a construct noun. Now you only know that by context. So the word kol is a lexical form. It's a standalone form. It can just mean voice or a voice. But when it's positioned next to another noun or a word functioning as a noun, which is the case with koe, the next word, that makes it a construct. And for that reason, we have to supply the word the at the beginning. The voice, and then the construct noun would be translated of one crying out, of one proclaiming, you could say. And so the voice of one crying out or proclaiming, okay, and this is, I got to go to the next screen for you, right? So it's a G stem, a basic stem. You may know, maybe use the term pa'al or kal. Hebrew has way too many, terms, technical terms referring to the same thing. So, but we're going to use G stem. And that'll be helpful for the Aramaic and Arabic speakers because we can show how they're related. So this would be like form 1 in Arabic if you're a native Arabic speaker, okay? All right, so kol koe, the voice of one crying out, a masculine singular participle here. And I wrote that it's construct. It's not construct. Sometimes I do some copying and pasting. I accidentally put that in. It's a G stem masculine singular absolute noun. So the voice of one crying out, ba mid ba. Okay, the next one. Okay, the voice of one crying out, ba mid ba. Okay, which is the preposition ba plus the article plus the masculine singular noun, Now, I'm wondering, does anybody know, can you explain to us in the chat, Adat Ale, congregation of Ale. Yes, right. I think did we talk about that last week, I think, during the Job live stream? I think we might have there. Yeah. So let's see. So what about the preposition, or the form bamidbar? Where do we see the definite article in there? Midbar is the noun, ba is the preposition. Why would I say that there is that there's a definite article there? Can anyone tell me? Yes, that's absolutely correct. Yep, it's in the patach. Yeah, and thank you. And just changing this already. Thank you so much for putting that up there. Excellent. All right. So we do have a Greek video there up. Okay, so yeah, it's the patach. So underneath the consonant beit, there's a patach. That's the horizontal line. That's a short A vowel. And the dot inside the mem, the next consonant, we call that a dagesh, that dot. Together, those are the remnants of the definite article. So what happens, I'm going to switch over for a minute and just go to Google Docs for you in case you're interested. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that in a separate video. Let me do that in a separate video. But I will explain what happens. The definite article has a hey, the letter hey. It has elided or dropped out, but its vowel remains, and the doubling dot, the doubling of the next consonant, is indicative of the article as well. So instead of b midbar, which would be in a wilderness, b midbar, ba midbar means in the wilderness. Okay, we got a comment from Jank. It says double the dagesh because the close unaccented syllable. Okay, double the dagesh because close unaccented syllable. Oh yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there is it's not the doubling is actually part of the article, actually. It doesn't, you know, when we have an open syllable, yes, the open syllable results from the fact that there's no dagesh there, not the other way around. And so, you know, some scholars have proposed that the original definite article was hal, which is actually an Arabic word. You know, some have cast doubt on that idea. But whatever it is, we know that it functions similarly to what happens in Arabic, because the Arabic article al, half of the letters in Arabic are what we call sun letters, and sun letters like the sun in the sky. And so I'll show you how this works in Arabic, just because it may help you appreciate what's going on here in Hebrew. So let me just switch over back to the Google Doc. Let me see here. Google Doc. What am I looking at? Oh yeah. Okay, so if I do this and I go to there, back to OBS, transition. Okay, here we are. Okay, so let me go back into this Google Doc, and really quickly I'll put the article in that we saw before, right? There we go. All right, but let me go down here. Let's, in fact, let's just do a new page. Okay, so in Arabic, the definite article will look like this. And the way we would transliterate this, let me increase the size here. It's too small. I know I can't see it. All right. So there's al. And the letter to the right is the alif and hamza. It makes the ah sound, ah. And this is the L right here. And so when you take a word in Arabic, like the word for sun, which is shams, okay, shams. So this letter is an SH here, okay. There's your, there's your M, and there's your S. And so the way, if we want to transliterate this, let me get my English keyboard back. Okay, and we'll use the Palestinian pronunciation because that's really what I'm teaching. It wouldn't be al, it would be il in spoken Arabic in Palestine. Okay, but you get il and then shams. Okay, this SH is technically one letter in what's it called? In Arabic, okay? So this letter right here with the three dots above it, that's an SH, okay? But what happens here is that because shin is a sun letter, sun letters do not take the lamed before it. They don't allow for that. And so what happens is il shams, which would be the expected form, you might say, becomes ish-shams. The sheen doubles, okay? If you want to see how that's written in Arabic, let's switch over here. That's Greek, Hebrew, Korean, Arabic. There we go. I don't know why Korean's in there. It's my daughter's computer. That's why she speaks Korean, okay? All right, so here we go. Il shams. The lamed, now, unlike in Hebrew, the lamed will still be written. Where's my shadde here? There it is. Whoops. Hold on. There it is. So the lamed will not disappear from the script, but what happens is a shadde, it looks like a W, is put above the next letter to show that that letter is doubled. Okay? And that is how we know that the lamed is not to be pronounced. And so even though it is still, you might say, written, the letters there are ilshamps, it is pronounced ishemps. Ishemps. The sheen is doubled. And the shadde, that little W sign there in Arabic, Arabic is like the dagesh in Hebrew. They function the same way. Okay? And so basically let's go back to the English keyboard here. If we were to take, what was the word we were using? Oh, midbar, right? And I'm just going to transliterate it here. Midbar, okay? If you wanted to put the definite article before it, the way we would do that is ha, and I'm going to put the asterisk here because there's no way to represent this in English. Basically what it means is the article consists of the Hebrew letter hey, an A vowel, and then the doubling of the next consonant, whatever that's going to be when it's adjoined to the next word. And so I'm just going to represent that with an asterisk because how would you represent that, right? And so when you get ha plus midbar, it becomes hamidbar. Now why is this spelling thing on? Okay. In modern Hebrew, we don't pronounce the doubled M, but historically it would have been pronounced. How do I make this spelling thing go away? All right. Yes, thank you. But it is still there in the script. We would put the dagesh in hamidbar. Hamidbar. And so Hebrew really functions like Arabic. It's just that it uses a different script. All right, now, I want to go over, let me just shift gears here for 1 second. Go back to OBS. We're going to, did this turn on the microphone again? Did it? Yeah, when I shifted over to, that, other screen, it turned another microphone on without my wanting to do so. This is absolutely ridiculous. All right, OBS, we got to fix this. Anyways, okay, so let me go over and just look at the chat really quickly. Let's see here. Where's my chat? Okay, so sun letters versus moon letters. Yes, absolutely, right? Sun letters and moon letters. So roughly half the alphabet are sun letters, and the other half would be moon letters, right? The moon letters will allow for the L, the lam, we would say. That's what we call the L in Arabic. Good. And Davey3, excellent. All right, thank you. All right, I appreciate your saying that. Yeah, I want to make sure I'm doing a good job to try to explain everything for everybody here. So, all right, so let's go back. So we got bamidbar. We see the doubling in the mem. Okay, so bamidbar in the, whoops, sorry, I didn't transition back. There we go. So in the wilderness, okay. And get the new screen up. So many windows. All right, so kol koe bamidbar panu. Okay, and actually before we get to panu, I forgot to compare the Greek there. Okay, so I took so much time in setting this up, I forget to talk about half the features. So kol in Hebrew corresponds to phoni in Greek. So if you're looking to do kind of like an interlinear thing, I've tried to do that for you here. Okay, so phoni. And then the next one, kore, corresponds to boontos. Boontos, okay. Really, I should be pronouncing that with a V. I still have trouble for leaving the Erasmian pronunciation, but phonivontos, I should say. All right, and then bamidbar corresponds to the Greek enti erimo. Okay, so the voice of one crying in the wilderness is how I'm going to translate the Hebrew. Okay, and then we go to panu, which is an imperative, D stem. Okay. It's from the root pei nun yud. Pei nun yud. Now, I want to say something about this for those who are a little bit more advanced in their Hebrew grammar. And that is that the D stem, or what you might know as the PL, okay? We call it the D stem. But the reason why I say the root is pei nun yud, okay, you probably would have been taught that it's pei nun he, and that here the he is just dropped out. And that is true-ish, okay? Historically, though, it's a yud. And the reason why it's helpful to know historically that it wasn't a he suffix, that it was a yud, is because it helps us to understand many of the other forms of these verbs. So if I wanted to say, I prepared in the past tense, think for a minute. How would you say I prepared? Well, tav yud, is the I suffix, the first common singular suffix conjugation suffix, okay? But how would you form the verb? It would be paniti. And you say, why would it be paniti if it's a final he verb? Shouldn't it be panati or something like that? Well, the reason is it's not a final he verb. It's been listed in the lexicon as a final he verb simply because the final yud was not pronounced. Okay? So a form like this would be when it's in the third masculine singular, the final root consonant was quiescent or quiet. And in Hebrew, the way you represent that is typically with a hey, to indicate that final vowel, okay? So I want to go really quickly over the lexicon just to show you something. Yeah, for the form piniti, okay, so it's a PL. I was thinking in Aramaic where it would be a pa'el, piniti. And I'm going to bring up, bear with me 1 second. Let's do this. I got to rearrange some windows here for you. Okay. And let me just make sure that everybody is able to see this. So we want to go over to window capture here. What's this one? Sorry. Window capture. We've got audio, media source. Let's, I don't know what that is. Okay. And let's do another screen capture here. Sorry. I think I had Accordance open before, didn't I? Was it? No, that was that. Okay. Oh, OS screen capture. Was it this one? Sorry, I have too many things open here. Okay, we'll just create a new one. All right. So, all right, screen capture, and we'll call it Accordance. And no, Accordance is not paying me for this. All right, so yeah, there we go. Accordance. Nope, wrong one. That's the Finder Accordance. I need Accordance Hebrew Bible. And of course, we've got the and here we go. All right, so let's transition over there. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so going into Accordance, and I got to shrink the screen, of course, because you can't see everything there. Nope, that was not what I wanted. Sorry, guys. Here we are. That should be better. Okay. All right, there we go. And let's lock that in. Okay, so here is the lexicon with the word, and notice the root is listed as pei nun he, okay? But we look at the grammatical information here, and this gets really insightful because Hebrew lexica, the advanced biblical ones will have, they will have comparative Semitics and that sort of thing. And notice how the Syriac root is listed here: Christian Palestinian Aramaic, PNY. PNY. It's going to be listed in Akkadian as PN weak. That's how we refer to things in Akkadian. That's for another time. Egyptian so is that straight up? Oops, sorry. Boom. Nope. Man, where did I go? Sorry, they just there we go. Okay, so in Egyptian, it's actually a word that occurs in Egyptian too, interestingly enough. In Ugaritic, it's P and N. Okay, and so you see there's this variety here. And notice this. In Arabic, what do you get? Thania. The F corresponds to P. Let me see if I can increase the size for you. Hold on. The F, where are you? Where are you? Yeah, there we go. The F corresponds to pei in Hebrew. We've got the nun, and then what's the final root letter? It's a Y, the Arabic letter ya, which corresponds to yud. And notice the comment here. The common Semitic root for FNY, notice they don't list it as FNH. Okay, it's FNY. And so when we go to the, see what's going on here, in the suffix conjugation of this verb, the perfect, it's pana. But hey is not a consonant there. There's no mapik in it. This is just a vowel letter. It's a final weak form, and the hey is there because there's an a vowel before it. And so this is not technically a final hey verb at all. It's a final weak verb, okay? Pana. Notice what happens when you go to the first person masculine singular and the second person masculine singular, or the first person common singular and the second person masculine singular. It becomes paniti and panita. Where'd the yud come from? The yud was there all along. The yud dropped off in this context and became silent. That's all. In Arabic, interestingly enough, there's an alif maksura, which is the yud, which is unpronounced, okay? Notice how we say the we form right here. Sorry, I don't know why it's not highlighting. Let's go. There we go. Paninu. Where'd the yud come from? Okay? Where'd the yud come from? All right. So you come over here, and let's see. So there's the, and then the participle, the plural participle, it's ponim. Why is there no hey in there, right? Because it's just an elided consonant that's quiesced. You go over to the D stem. Sorry, I made this so large that now we can't, here we go. The D stem, PL, right? And what is it? Pina. Pina. There's a hey there. But what happens when you go to the second masculine singular? Pinita. Pinita. Okay, so this is not a final hey verb at all. Do we still talk about final hey verbs? Yes, we still talk about final hey verbs because that is, that wasn't what I wanted. I want to get rid of screen capture. Nope. Chat, voice, media source, window capture. Oh, this is funny. Sorry, now I can't find my, accordance, there it is. Okay, so now, So we're still going to speak of final hey verbs, but they're technically not final hey verbs. They're just listed in the lexicon with a hey, so they've come to be known as final hey verbs. They're not final hey at all. We got a couple of comments here. So, so Jane, so just when I think I've got third hey verbs down, you throw a curveball at me. Yeah, let me throw you one more curveball, is that there are a few verbs that are legitimately final hey and are but they're the exception rather than the rule, okay? But there are a few, and I can't remember exactly how many, that are actually legitimate final hey verbs, but it is absolutely the exception. And yes, this whole business with curveballs, there you go. That's Semitic languages. So, yep, absolutely. All right. So, let's see. Got to get back to my screen here. What are we doing? PowerPoint. Yeah. Okay. So, panu is going to be a D stem or a PL, masculine plural imperative, which means prepare. Prepare. What are we going to prepare? Derech Adonai. Okay. Prepare, by the way, panu corresponds to etimasate in Greek, just for those of you who want to do the interlinear thing. Okay. Go to the next slide. And so, derech Adonai, okay, the way of the Lord, okay, corresponds to tin odon kiriu. Okay, derech is a masculine or feminine singular construct noun. There's a few nouns in Hebrew that can go either way. They function masculine, sometimes feminine, other times. There you go. So the way of, right? Even though there's no definite article, it's construct. So we provide it, right? The way of, and then we get yud hey vav hey, the tetragrammaton. The Lord, we will say, historically, it would have been pronounced Yahweh, but in the 3rd century BC, there was a clear movement away from that. And you can see my book on the subloco notes. I have a note in there about that. Okay, prepare the way of the Lord. And then we get another D stem, masculine plural imperative, yashru. And so make straight, okay? And that corresponds to ephias piite. Okay, ephias piite. Okay, make straight. Okay, and then we get misilotav. Okay, and this is a feminine plural noun plus a 3rd masculine singular pronominal suffix. The av means his, and when it's vocalized as av instead of o, that means the noun before it is what am I saying? Is plural. Yeah, so misilotav. Okay, and that corresponds to, of course, you can see the Greek there, tas tribus aftu. Okay. All right, so wow, we've been going for about an hour here. Gee whiz. All right, so I am going to have to end the live stream here. I'm going to hopefully later today, but it's probably going to be more like tomorrow. I'll come back and deal with the Arabic. So this is just going to have to serve as part 1. I'd really like your feedback from this. I know definitely there is room for improvement on the technical side of things. No doubt about it. Sorry, there we go. There's the pop out. Yeah. Does the channel accept the New Testament? What do you, Davey, can you explain to me what you mean by that? And sorry, Cenk, I missed your question too. So what do you mean by does the channel accept the New Testament? Is that my personal viewpoint? Like, am I a Christian believer who looks at it as scripture? I just want to make sure I know what you're driving at there. While I'm waiting for your answer, why is the yud silent in tav? Yeah, so that's an interesting issue in and of itself. And sorry about that. So one of the things I'll do in the next video, just because we'll need some time, is, let me make sure my camera's on this. You know what, I'm going to stretch this out for a minute so that, let's see, we got nope, where's my video? Sorry. Video capture, here we go. All right. So, sorry, yeah. So, Cenk, this book right here, A Grammar of Epigraphic Hebrew, okay, is something I want to introduce you guys to in the next video. And this deals with the grammar of Hebrew inscriptions, from Hebrew epigraphy. And I'm going to leave it right on my chair here so that I remember to deal with that when we have time. And then the other thing that I want to share with you, I'm going to go over to accordance again really quickly. And let me just go to the library. Oh, man. I can't forget my glasses next time. Yeah, you can't really see that. So let me go to... Let's see, prefaces, there should be, yeah. Okay, so I just want to make sure you guys can see this. Close that out. And here we go. Oop. You were. I don't think you were able to see that. All right, let me go back again. I just realized I didn't hit the transitions button. Yeah, here we go. So let me just do something really quickly. There we go. And so this is the book. I'm sorry, I don't think it was showing up before in the live stream. This is Gogol's Grammar of Epigraphic Hebrew. And we're going to take some time to look at that because there's a lot of interesting... Geez, I didn't do it again. There we go. All right, third time's the charm. Here we go. Gogol's Grammar of Epigraphic Hebrew. Sorry about that. Okay, I need someone to manage these live streams for me while I'm doing it. Eventually, we'll have the budget for it, eventually. All right, the other thing I wanted to show you here, okay, is this is far and away the most useful advanced Hebrew grammar for biblical Hebrew, Mora Oka. We just refer to it as Mora Oka. Some people would say Joan Mora Oka. But Mora Oka's grammar, far and away the most useful thing, and I will draw from that in the next video and give you a historical explanation of, how all this developed and so on and so forth. Okay? All right, let me just glance at the chat real quick. Where are we? Boom. Okay, so Davey, because I was wondering if the problem against the Tetragrammaton was the reason Yeshua only mentioned Father. Okay, so the reason why I generally don't pronounce God's name. I don't pronounce the Tetragrammaton, really just out of respect to my Jewish friends. That's all. It's kind of a custom in scholarship, and there's nothing inherently wrong, but because it's a custom in Judaism not to do it out of respect for God, it's one of those things where I just say, respecting God is a nice thing. And, if it keeps from offending my friends, then why not? So I don't see it as being inherently wrong. But that's just how I do things. And frankly, it's kind of ingrained in my head at this point. I don't even do it consciously or refrain from it consciously a lot of times. It's just become normal. It's also, the Masoretes, it's the Yud He Vav He is vocalized with the vowels of Adonai in the Hebrew scriptures. And so that is actually what is to be read. That's the Kari or Kare tradition in the Hebrew Bible. And so there's something historically to it too. But again, it's like I don't fuss about it one way or the other. I respect people's differing viewpoints on this. Yeah. And let me make sure. Okay. So it's running. Okay. And and the historical reason for why the tetragram was not pronounced or stopped being pronounced, I believe it has to do ultimately with the Babylonian exile. And, in the 6th century when, the text of Scripture says, God says that's enough, I've had enough of the sin problem, you're going off into Babylon. Archaeologists tell us that the Babylonian exile cured Israel of its idolatry, and because that's a biblical custom. And we also know that it's out of the exile that building a fence around the Torah, all of this extra legislation that you won't find in the scriptures themselves, that's how that developed. Because, the analogy I give, which, there's probably better ones, but, imagine this, you're raising a young child, you have a toddler, right? And you're cooking in the kitchen. And the toddler starts to come into the kitchen to... and it might put his or her hand on the stove. You could tell the toddler, stay out of the kitchen. Are they going to listen? Probably not. So what do? You make a fence around it, and you say, all right, stay out of the living room, because if you don't go out, if you're not allowed to be in the living room, you can't go into the kitchen. So you might put the child in the playpen or something like that, that kind of thing. So when you know that the initial command might not do the trick, you build a fence around that command, extra legislation to ensure that the command won't be broken, okay? And so the whole business with not pronouncing God's name, if you never pronounce God's name, you can't break the prohibition of not taking God's name in vain. And if you don't take God's name in vain, then of course, then you're not going to have to deal with punishment from God. And that's how I understand it to have developed. So anyways, happy to discuss that more some other time if you'd like. I really appreciate everybody tuning in today. We will finish this, what's it called? This presentation, we'll work the Arabic in, and we'll compare the Arabic with the Hebrew, and I think you'll see some really cool things in there. But it's one of those things where I think the more Semitic languages you're able to know, even if not at an expert level, the better you understand Hebrew and Aramaic. And I'll add the Aramaic or one Aramaic version to the presentation, so we get an appreciation for how the Aramaic relates to the Syriac and the Hebrew and so on and so forth. One big happy Semitic language family. All right, thanks so much for tuning in, everybody, and I'll see you either maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. It all depends. But thanks for supporting your channel. And for those of you who are new around here, if you're willing to financially support, the best way to do that is to go on over to my Patreon page, where by becoming a member to the comprehensive package for $12 a month, you enable me to continue doing this, and you gain access to all of my unabridged videos there, which is getting to be quite a library. So thanks again. See you.